I have this as a bet.
So I'm actually Sadie, but before we get started, I have to move the podium because I don't want you guys to look at my crotch. Yeah, my set has started, so feel free to laugh whenever. So I kind of have a phobia of public speaking. You might be wondering why I'm here. The thing I mainly hate about it is that I feel like people are staring at my crotch. But we got a podium today, so your plans are foiled. All your crotch endeavors have gone down the drain. I feel really important standing up here, like I kind of feel like a politician or something. Honestly, it felt like a dirty secret. Like, is it Parents' Weekend? Is it not Parents' Weekend? I was looking around the room and I was like, these students have a lot of gray hair. Midterms taking that much of a toll on you guys? The tricky thing about Parents' Weekend actually is coming up with content because I'm not allowed to talk about fun things, like sex. Yeah, all the fun stuff is off the table. Sex, veto, booze, veto, cursing, veto. But I was thinking about it and I was like, we should actually be allowed to talk about sex in front of our parents. Like, hello, your parents. I know for a fact you're not celibate. You were getting hot and heavy back in 2003. Maybe not so much nowadays, but no one's judging. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like make you feel ashamed or anything, but get a hold of yourself. But anyways, all I can say is I'm definitely not a parent. That's for sure. The chances of there being a baby cooking up in this oven are very slim. You're more likely to find a baby in your stew at Pierce. Honestly, beware of the soups, folks. The other day, I was eating tofu tiki masala. Don't worry, I'm not a vegetarian. But I was eating this tofu tiki masala and I found a very coarse hair. Hope that's not a pube. Next thing you know, you're gonna be eating potato leek soup. You're gonna be like, is that a little potato? It kind of looks like a toe. Shit, an infant! That would not be good. Vegetarians do not like eating infants. But anyways, it's fine that I can't talk about sex. That's not really my area of expertise. But I was like, what do parents like to talk about? And parents are always saying things like, have you done your homework yet? Come clean up your shit from the dining room table. And you're like, my brother's been in the bathroom showering for hours. Where else was I supposed to relieve myself? Speaking of which, does anybody know why my middle school brother has been in the shower for an hour and 45 minutes? I'm starting to think he's using some of my bougie shower products. Like, I know you're touching my Bumble and Bumble shampoo, getting in a good lather. Although it does look kind of greasy, so maybe not that. Not that. By the way, if you laughed at that shit joke earlier, that was targeted towards our younger audiences. So I just know you're the kind of adult who watches South Park and Family Guy. There's a very specific breed of adult who watches that kind of show. Every time I see one of them, I'm just like, boy, I will definitely be marrying one of you. Yeah, in my household, we don't really watch a lot of shows like that. We do watch Ancient Aliens. If you don't know what Ancient Aliens is, you don't want to know. It's basically conspiracy theories for adults. It's kind of like the adult equivalent of Dance Moms. Because when someone comes in and I'm watching Dance Moms, I'm like, oh, who put this on? I'm not watching this, what? And that's kind of what Ancient Aliens is to my dad. So my dad's been really into that recently. Another thing my dad's been really into is lying. Anybody else have parents that lie a lot? Yeah. I feel like all parents lie a little bit, you know? Like, I don't have a favorite child. I remember what time you're born at. You're related to Karl Marx. That last one kind of did a number on me, I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you how this came up. So we have a huge portrait of Karl Marx in our family room that my dad put up. He's not a socialist, but he is kind of a hoarder. So if you know what Karl Marx looks like, you're probably envisioning the photo that's in my family room, you know? It's kind of got like a gray background, he's got the beard, he looks pretty bummed out. that's hanging in my family room, right? So when I was little, I was like, Dad, who is that? And he's like, that's your great-grandfather, Carl. And I'm like, okay, because I'm 7 years old. And this guy, A, looks pretty important, B, looks really sad, and C, looks Jewish. I'm like, this is definitely someone I'm related to. And so I took his word for it. Several years down the line, and when I say several, I mean I am a sophomore in high school, so a little too old for this nonsense. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm in AP European History. You already know I had to plug the AP, like I didn't take it not to get bragging rights. And I flip the page. All of a sudden, I see great-grandfather Carl staring back at me. And in front of the whole class, I'm like, holy shit, I'm related to that guy. And everybody's like, I don't think you are. And I'm like, no, I definitely am. And I start skimming the page, it's like Karl Marx, founder of socialist theory. And I'm like, oh God, Dad, what have you done to me? So I had to backtrack. I'm like, I'm just kidding, guys, I'm not related to him. But this isn't the first time this has happened either. So when I was little, my dad told me I was related to a werewolf named Uncle Whoopcott. He was my uncle, because, you know, like, happens to the best of us who have that one uncle who's half wolf. Anyways, he wore a top hat and a purple jumpsuit. And he would come around at night, apparently. So when I wouldn't be going to bed, my dad would be like, Uncle Whoopcott's gonna come over at any minute, and he's gonna get Eggo waffles, and he doesn't like little kids. So I'd be like, oh shit, gotta start brushing my teeth. Uncle Whoopcott's on his way over. But the thing is, as I got older, obviously I kind of started to realize, like, maybe I'm not related to this werewolf. But the thing was, I thought this was like folklore kind of thing that everybody knew about. So recently I was at Goodwill with my friends, and someone was trying on a top hat, and I was like, what's up, Uncle Whoopcott? And they were just like, what did you just say? I'm like, you look like Uncle Whoopcott. They're like, who's that? And I'm like, okay, you didn't have a fun childhood. But, so recently I was getting into an argument with my dad because I wanted to go shopping at the mall, and he wouldn't give me money, and all of a sudden, Karl Marx comes in, he's like, listen, you don't need to go shopping. Capitalism is destined to fail. And I'm like, Carl, what the hell? You've been dead for years, what are you doing here? So I'm going back and forth with Karl Marx and my dad, they're ganging up on me. It's getting kind of late now, it's like 10:30. Hey, it's Uncle Whoopcott, you got any Eggo waffles? And then I got to deal with Karl Marx, my dad, and Uncle Whoopcott. It was honestly crazy. But that's not the reason my dad's not here. We got over that fight. He actually had a really important work conflict. He said he was at a superhero convention. Thank you guys.